Welcome back to the Grand Solar Minimum channel. Hey, glad you could make it. Sorry about the delay. We had a little bit of a signal issue. We have had that continuing issue, it seems, almost every time we go live. But anyway, thanks for being patient. Let's begin the show. Today is Tuesday, December 1st, 2020. Our solar wind speeds are coming in at 420.0 kilometers per second with a density of 0.4. Now, this is a lot different from yesterday. We had a little bit thicker stream, a plasma stream from solar wind, 13.4. Today, it's only at a 0.4, so very light stream, not a whole lot of action as far as what we had yesterday, where it was a lot thicker. Still, no, obviously, the sun is not blank. We have now 4 sunspot groupings and one that is being circled right now, and I'm going to take a closer look at that here in a minute. That would be AR 2790, but we are watching that as well. But yesterday we had 6 sunspot groupings, and today we have just the 4, but a 5th one appears to be emerging from the southeastern limb of our star. Our TCI is sitting at a 5.94, and that is a little bit elevated from last night's broadcast. Again, solar wind speeds were up yesterday, so that is why we probably saw the slight uptick in the TCI. Solar wind is now subsiding, and there is no major coronal holes to speak of at the time. So we're not expecting any solar wind that would cause any geomagnetic activity. Now, we are possibly could see an impact from the CME today or tomorrow. That's what NOAA forecasters are saying. KP indices coming in at a 0 currently, and the 24-hour max is 1. And these conditions, we have seen earthquakes popping off, strong ones, moderate ones, nothing amazing, but very moderate. Let's put it that way. Our cosmic radiation dosage rate in our atmosphere today is higher than what it was yesterday. Yesterday it was 9.8. Today we are at 10.1%. Right there at the bottom of your weather station there. It's 7-day changes at a full percent now. Yesterday it was at a 0.8. So cosmic radiation still very high in the counts here, the dosage rate. Even though we are still seeing the obvious signs that solar cycle 25 is strengthening, we are also still, how should I say this, still experiencing minimum conditions, even though. So let's go over to the grandsolarminimum.com. That is our webpage where you can go check out our space weather section and follow the same exact information that we provide you during these shows that we show you guys. So, all right, I'm at the page I need to be at. I was just waiting, giving it a minute, warming up. All kinds of gremlins today, guys. All kinds of gremlins. Here we go. So at the space weather station here on grandsolarminimum.com, KP indices are very, 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 very quiet. Geomagnetic activity slightly up at the last report. And that could have something to do with this very slight impact that this CME might have on Earth's magnetic field. We'll see. Right now, KP indices are very low. And looking at our star, going all the way back, we do have AR 2790. That is this back one here at the very back. And then after that, do we get a break? We'll see. I was talking about this last night where I thought maybe, possibly, that we would continuously see sunspot action in the southern region of our star. Just because we know how many have passed and gone. But man, check out that southeastern side there, folks, right there in the 90 degree. It's not even really pierced. Watch it here. I'm going to zoom in on it. Watch this. So pretty good. Wow, that is strong. And those are all connected, by the way, too. That's the amazing part about that. Those are not broken. So that is now emerging over the eastern limb. So we probably could see some solar flare action from this particular sunspot region that is moving towards us right now. Let's play it one more time. I'll show you what area I'm talking about here. That right there. Again, Magnetic field is weak, so if we get a direct hit on a solar flare, it might do a little damage. Especially at a time like right now. This is when Earth's magnetic field is at the most vulnerable time, coming out of the minimum, going into a maximum part of the cycle. You start to see that uptick in activity, and yet the shields are still at minimal strength right now. So, but looking at this chart, we might have another sunspot to talk about in the very near future. Arrow 2790, we just saw it explode there. We'll continue to monitor it and see how this plays out. But I'd be shocked if we had a blank day. I'd be shocked if we saw a day without sunspots for the remainder of this year. And that is, that's not much of a prediction because we've only got a few more days to go here, 30 more to go to be exact. And can't believe it that 2020, we're almost done with it. Amazing how fast this year went by, considering with everything that's been happening. Of course, that's probably contributing to why everything feels like it's just happening in a blur. So I was reading today and I came across this article and I wanted to share this information with you guys. I thought this was cool. Surface of the sun is a turbulent dance of gravity, plasma, and magnetic fields. Much like the weather on Earth, its behavior can seem unpredictable, but there are patterns to be found when you look closely. The first pattern to be observed on the solar surface was that of sunspots. Sunspots were noticed by a few ancient astronomers, but they have been regularly studied since the 1600s. As astronomers counted through the number of spots seen each year, they found the sun goes through active solar cycles and active years and quiet years, talking about the 11-year cycle. Let's move on here. One of the challenges with sunspot prediction is that we can't put sensors directly on the sun's surface, obviously. Measuring the magnetic fields that create sunspots is also difficult. But astronomers have learned that the sun can be studied using sound waves. And this technique is starting to let them predict individual sunspots. And take a look at the graphic here when we're talking about a blank sun. And this is looking at the North Pole facing down. So they are showing an uninterrupted acoustic signal that happens when we're talking about a blank sun. And when we have a sunspot down here at the bottom part of the figure, this shows you what happens to the signal. So basically, they're going to be able to start correlating their information that they're hearing with what they're seeing. And the other thing that's interesting about this is that I was just reading about this not too long ago, that a sun full of sunspots, believe it or not, gives a stronger radio signal, but there's a lot of white noise because of all the sunspots as well. So it's almost overload. So this kind of makes sense to me, and I just thought I'd share this with you guys. One of the projects studying the sun in this way is the Global Oscillation Network Group, and GONG for short is what they're called. It's a collection of 6 solar telescopes that measure the motion of the sun's surface 24/7. The vibrations of the sun's surface are caused by sound waves moving through the sun's interior. The study of the sun in this way is known as helioseismology. While it is mainly used to study the solar interior, the sound waves are also affected by surface features such as sunspots. And recently, the GONG team used this feature to predict one. About a week ago, GONG team noticed that an acoustic solar vibration seemed to be disrupted by a feature on the far side of the sun. They couldn't see the feature, but it was consistent with that of a sunspot. So the team predicted that a sunspot cluster could be visible from Earth around Thanksgiving, and it turned out they were right. This kind of prediction is extremely useful because large sunspots are often accompanied by other activities such as solar flares. Intense solar flares can disrupt modern satellites such as GPS, and in the most extreme case could threaten to collapse our electrical grid. Predicting these events several days in advance will give us time to mitigate their effects. With further research, the GONG team and others might even be able to predict the appearance of sunspots before they form. This would give us well more than a week to prepare for any threat from solar flares, and would give us all who use this technology a reason to breathe a bit easier. And so, kudos to them for predicting a sunspot. They got it right. But I find it interesting that I'm tripping over a lot of these research papers on sunspots here lately. And, just last night, I raised the question about sunspots. Do they directly affect cooling or heating? What you're looking at right here is a sunspot. And that darker center right there represents a cooler temperature on the sun's surface right there. So if you think about it, multiple sunspots on a sun actually brings the temperature on the surface anyway down a little bit. So the theory that sunspots cause heating and cooling, I think what people are trying to say is that they are indicators, because there are other mechanisms that come into play with the heating and cooling. And we all know that. This is a very complex subject. It's not like there's a one-size-fits-all answer for everything. There's many, many facets to this. So again, I just thought this was interesting. Another way to hopefully get better on sunspot predictions, and what a useful tool that could be that would prevent a possible strike on the grid if we knew what was coming. So very interesting. All right, let's go ahead and check out Dr. Roy Spencer, his website. He always gives us this lovely chart here that keeps track of the global temperatures, showing us how cooling or warming we're getting. And here's the deal. We're flat. We're very flat. And I wanted to read here. The linear warming trend since January 79 remains at 0.14. Think about that for a minute, folks, please. We've only warmed in 40-something years, 0.14 centigrade, decade over global average is what they're showing here. But nonetheless, that's it. For comparison, the CDA's global surface temperature anomaly has, for the last 30 days at weatherbell.com, was 0.52. La Nina in the Pacific now officially started. It would take several months for that surface cooling to be fully realized in the tropospheric temperatures. Typically, La Nina minimum temperatures and El Nino maximum temperatures show up around February, March, or April. The tropical temperatures for November was at 0.29, which is lower than it has been in over 2 years. Now back it up to 2018. And this is the part of the minimum that we were coming out of an active sun, heading into a quiet sun. And how ironic, 2 years later, we're almost at that same point, potentially. We're almost at the same point where we're seeing sunspots here and there, some geomagnetic activity, and other seismic and volcanic events as well. But nonetheless, with La Nina in play, and Roy is pretty much breaking it down, like, look, we could stay flat for the next couple of months. And here's the thing, we're still seeing warming in the Arctic. And, that's not saying that the climate change or anything like that. That's just facts right now that we're still seeing warming in the Arctic. But where it's warming, it's also cooling. That's what you have to remember, that the pressure is moving. So when heat moves out of one spot, cold air replaces that heat, vice versa. And there were some areas that did cool from last month. Temperatures did go down in some regions, and you can check out the information for yourself here at the bottom of the screen. You can compare month to month, and there was some cooling going on. But again, I think the consensus is that these temperatures could be changing in the Arctic by February and March of 21. So again, very flat. Last month we had numbers at 0.54. This month it's 0.53. It has dropped over the last 3 months very slowly. But if you look at this graph, and here's where it is, and look on the other side, I mean, this stuff takes time. It happens slowly. So we are going to watch this slow decay of temperature before we get to February or March, and we might see a significant drop. So mark this show here in December 1st that we could see significantly low temperatures being recorded on the UAH by February, March, or April. Generally, this is not me making a prediction. This is just marking it. This is how it works. The temperatures usually show there's a delaying effect. So it's going to be one of those 3 months, and we'll see. But right now, we are steadily declining. And check this out. We had another earthquake today. A 6.3 hits just off the coast of Alaska today with a depth of about 23 kilometers, which is about 14.3 miles. The EMSC is reporting a 6.3 also, but this one's a little deeper at 33. There was no tsunami warnings or any damage or loss of life, but just another example of activity just getting started again. And this wasn't the only 6.0 we had today, and I'm trying to find, I almost thought we had 2 today. Yes, so let's go to this right here. Okay, so the 6.3 in Alaska, and then check this out. This down here below, or I guess you could say above Australia, that would be above for them, but near the Antarctica, we saw a 6.2. And that has actually been upgraded. It was a 6.0 at first report, and it has been upgraded. So this is 2 days ago, and it did say just now earthquake updated. So 2 days in a row now where we have seen 2 strong 6.0 or higher earthquakes, and let's point them out. We had one yesterday up in here, and then the Alaska one. And then let's move this map over a little bit because we had the other 6.4 here and now here. So in a circle, folks, a line to line, you could see it. Here to here to here to the one in Chile. So definitely see the rotation, and much of the action here is on the what they call the Ring of Fire. This is on a lower area. We see earthquakes here from time to time, but very curious to be watching as KP indices are still favorable for potential seismic activity. Plus, we have that possible CME to deal with. So I have a feeling this is not over with. Keep your eyes open. We probably could see some more earthquakes of this magnitude and maybe even another volcano pop off. And let's move on here. We were talking about cosmic radiation causing lots of floods. There's another story. This one's for today. Severe floods hit Sumatra, damaging thousands of homes and affecting more than 26,000 people. Now, they've had rain ongoing out there over the past few weeks. So you've got earthquakes and volcanoes and floods. I mean, you talk about this area is just fluxed out completely. But more examples of grand solar minimum related activity. Major storm hits United States East Coast, leaving more than 230,000 without power. The storm system brought damaging winds and heavy rains, downing multiple trees and power lines and producing several tornadoes. Most of the affected customers were in Maine, where more than 100,000 lost power, followed by Massachusetts with 47,000. Rhode Island lost 32,000. That's power outages there, not lives. Connecticut with 28,000 without power. New York had 23,000. The Storm Prediction Center received around 60 reports of wind damage to trees, power poles, and wires. In Maine, wind gusts close to 60 miles per hour down multiple trees in Durham, Libsyn, Woolwich, and Bar Harbor, among other places. As of Tuesday, December 1st, about 102,000 people remain without power in the state, according to poweroutage.us. The National Weather Service issued a high wind warning for southern Maine effective until Tuesday. It says here people should avoid being outside in forecasted areas and around trees, branches. If possible, remain in the lower levels of your home during the windstorm and avoid windows. Use caution if you must drive. And here is a few pictures of some of the damage that we had out in Maine from these 60-mile-an-hour winds. And here's some footage of the rain as well. It says not for rebroadcast, so go ahead and check it out at watchers.news, guys. But yeah, we had some rough weather come through, severe weather, and then snow on the back end of it. I know the Great Lakes, Erie, Cleveland, the south towns of Buffalo really got their medicine as far as the snow came in. And let's talk about quickly just a headline, record-breaking 2020 hurricane season caused $60 billion to $65 billion in economic damage. Think about that. Put that on top of crop loss, which there wasn't a whole lot this year to talk about. But then you talk about the waste of crops from this pandemic, where the supply chain was really messed up for a little while. We had farmers dumping milk because they had no one to sell it to because restaurants and schools were closed, like completely closed. But part of this is not a surprise either. We talked about this in the beginning of the hurricane season with La Nina present, producing less wind shear. And when you have less wind shear, you're going to have more hurricanes that will be able to stand the test of time when they approach the landfall. So La Nina had a hand in that as well this year. Let's not get it twisted. And I think I meant to have, let's see the snow. Let's get some totals, guys, right? We already know we had the storm. Let's see what we have for totals here. Are they going to give it to us? Oh, wow, they didn't update it. Oh, this is embarrassing. Here we go. Well then, no totals here for us on that. Well, I guess it's at the bottom here. They said Buffalo is likely to get the heaviest amount of snow. So the areas I already said, Erie, Cleveland, Buffalo, Jamestown, New York. That was where we saw the foot of snow or more. And I will update you guys later on the totals. I thought they had the totals in this article. That is my mistake. All right, so let's look at GFS real quick. We already kind of went over this last night, but just quickly, let's talk about what we could see in the near future. A couple things have changed on the models. This is the 18Z. And some light snow moving into the northeast, a couple different chances. This has changed. We had a possibility for December 5th. This particular low pressure system here is being shown to be sort of a nor'easter in other models. Which is surprising, actually. Yeah. Other models are showing this low pressure system. And it has changed just like that, folks. So, if anything, the Weather Channel was talking about the drought here on the I-95 corridor, this region here, as far as heavy, significant snow. And they got snow out there, but it wasn't that much. Not to their standards, anyway. So, looks like that chance for some snow in the northeast is going to remain light across upstate New York and parts of Vermont and New Hampshire. Rain across the south. Now, you do see it start to form here. So I do believe that's the higher elevations of North Carolina, Virginia, West Virginia. Still a little bit of snow showers in the northeast, but then that quickly moves out Saturday. And this storm does go up the coast, has the potential to show nor'easter type situation. However, this thing is tracking a little bit further away from land. Cold air will settle into place across the northeast, the Ohio Valley. Pretty quiet for a little while, guys. December 9th. And then we start to see some clipper systems coming in from Canada, affecting Buffalo, Syracuse, upstate New York. Just light showers, though. Nothing crazy. 1 to 3, 3 to 5 tops. Another system that could affect also the northeast on December 12th. Pretty decent low pressure system that starts in the northern plain states in Minnesota and then kind of does a rainbow and drops right back into the northeast. This could be the northeastern's first significant system of the 2020-2021 season for snow. This one looks potentially enough to bring significant snowfall to the region as that system takes its time moving out. And Maine, parts of Maine and Canada, Nova Scotia, watch out. And then really from the middle part of the month, we start seeing a much cooler pattern for the northern plain states, Ohio Valley, and into the northeast. And that's relevant here. Another system for snow chances, again, for Ohio into Pennsylvania, western New York. by the 15th of December. Lots of cold air in place. And there's that low pressure system right there in the middle that I think we need to watch. This could be a potentially dangerous storm, possibly. This is still far away out, but the GFS 2 days in a row do like some kind of formation of an icing event that could move into an even worse situation as it gets into the Northeast. We'll continue to watch that, but look at the cold air sinking all the way down into New Mexico. Watch out, Richard. Might be getting some snow showers. This is all towards the middle of the month. And like I said last night, it seems like the seasons are moving right on target. I mean, there's no delay. We had, at least here for us in the Northeast, I feel like we had a spring, we had a summer, we had a fall, and now we're slowly moving into what looks like to be our winter. And of course, they always say that this is the meteorological first day of winter on December 1st. Even though the 21st marks the actual day for winter. And looking at temperatures throughout the month of December early, pretty average. Slightly above average maybe in some areas. And then there's that first real blast of cold air trying to make its way down into the States. Not quite yet, but oh boy, it's the Northeast. You might get your chance. And then right there at the 16th, we're going to get a ridge and fridge. This wave is going to move towards the Northeast, and we'll have to watch what this does behind it. Man, this could really change things. It'll bring the temperatures down and get winter started pretty early. So right on cue, here comes the Arctic blast just 5 days before winter solstice actually begins. Take a look at La Nina, and she's still dropping. Last night it was at the 1.2 range. Now we are sitting at an even negative 1.3 below baseline. So we are definitely in a moderate La Nina as we speak. All right, guys, that's going to do it for me tonight. Stay tuned for more grand solar minimum news updates as we go throughout the week. The hope is we can get back on a regular schedule Monday through Friday and get you some news on what's happening around the world as far as weather, space weather, and also we'll talk about crops and how some farmers did this year. Hopefully I can get some I guess I'm looking for some insight from actual farmers. So if you're a farmer listening to this station, go ahead and email me, jake@thegrandsolarminimum.com, and give me just a brief summary of how your grow and harvest went this year. I'd love to be able to report on it and let everybody get a feel on how things went for farmers. All right, that's going to do it for us tonight. Thanks for tuning in, and we will talk soon. Take care, everybody.
Do you like this show? Give us a thumbs up. Want to support us more? Share to your favorite social media platform. Buy a t-shirt or become a Patreon. All links are in the description below.